On screen there we have Heather Knight from Queensland. And half on screen we have Helena, whose last name I have always had trouble pronouncing, Panasiewicz, for want of a better description at the moment, from South Australia. Helena's a relatively new player to the sport, but loving it, travelling to as many competitions as she can, and doing quite well. Heather Knight from Queensland took up the sport after her son took it up a few years back, and he's a very good player. Doesn't play much at the moment due to other commitments, but she's certainly coming along leaps and bounds. She's in the Queensland state team, and although she's had a bit of a rough tournament so far, she would definitely be a favourite in this match. Mentioning the state team there, the main team event within Australia is called the Air Cup, the Interstate Cup, and that's played every March in a different state. They rotate around Australia in a clockwise direction. This year it's over in Perth. So we have 4 men and 4 women from each state playing against each other over the course of a day, and then they move on to the next state. 4 men and 4 women play against 4 men and 4 women of another state, and they move on to the next state throughout the course of a week. So it's a pretty prestigious event. Normally have 50 or 60 players, of the top players around the country, in attendance. So a lot of these players here today will be over in Perth in March for probably another fantastic event. The highlight of many people's croquet year. Prior to that event, we have the Australian Men's and Women's Championship, which are run at the same venues the week before, so that's another incentive to travel to Perth for the Interstate Cup. That's probably the biggest tournament in Australia for association croquet, which is what's being played here as opposed to different forms of croquet. That's the biggest event series anyway. The biggest event in the second half of the year would be the Australian Open Singles and Doubles Championships, which will be coming up here at Canley in a month's time. So hopefully we'll see you all here as players or spectators if you happen to be in the area. Come and learn the intricacies of croquet. Combination of chess and snooker on a big lawn. A little higher up the screen there we have David Johnson on the back right. David Johnson from Victoria, or currently in Victoria. He's been in various states over the years. Started playing down in Tasmania, came across to Victoria a few years ago and has taken his handicap from about a 6 down to a 0 in that time, which is an extremely good effort. Now his opponent, who's walking now back rear of the screen, is Gareth from Sydney. Gareth, a relatively new addition to the croquet scene, but extremely enthusiastic, sort of person that gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and goes for a hit before work every second day. Or certainly did last time I saw him. I haven't asked whether he's still on that routine at the moment, but it's great to see people jumping into new activities with a passion. You can certainly spend as much time as you like playing croquet without wearing out mind or body, which is good. Gareth, a university lecturer. So I'm sure this is a nice distraction from the troubles of an academic life. And I say that with an academic background. Anyway, Gareth playing David. David is leading... Gareth is leading with a grand score of 5-1. So it's the beginning of the second round game today. Gareth has been playing relatively better than David as far as the scoreline goes. Gareth's on 6 wins, David's on 4. David had a terrible first round, only winning 1 game out of the first 7, but has picked up 3 more of the last 5, which is very good. Gareth Denyer won 4 out of those first 7 and has only picked up 2 out of the last 5. Gareth is probably slightly more varied in his style of play and with his skill set and his tactical ability, but David Johnson is very consistent, so it should be a good matchup here. On the first round, out of interest, Gareth Denyer won 22-14. So back to Heather Knight on lawn 9. Heather now approaching hoop 3. We have about a 6-yard approach from the north boundary. From up here on the commentary balcony, the lawns look varied as far as the grass cover goes. The 4 central lawns that we've been focusing on for the main matches all got pretty good grass cover. But the lawns on the outside are a bit straw-coloured in patches, but they all seem to be running quite truly, as far as they can for hilly lawns anyway. Okay. And I can't there. Can't find it there. It's on our website, My Sport Live. Okay. See there? All right. There. Okay. There. It has a launch playing. I believe the information for the pretty well. Pretty well. There's still undulations, but it's more the wind taking it along. The b-ball shot down lawn 2 is absolutely correct because there's a good ridge taking it. Right. So I've just got an update to that. That's about the only thing. This is one more game. There's two. Okay. So more than two, I don't know. What? 10 or 11 or something. Why don't I just walk up and open here throughout the weekend and it's about the same as Canberra. While you're waiting. Yeah. So with croquet, I'm really fucking good. It's like, well, most of the time it can be effective. Most games have tournaments to some extent. Please just report this just because they're the elite. They'd be expected to give one at a time. So they're not going to go over by much. I just need to, it's good to know, well, because this is basically to be, if we come here and we're like, oh, for the next event, I plan and then just do it. So, yeah, we had one event at the polls, never by 5 hours. It's very, other ones, yeah. Quite a good guy, I really want to. Would like to know in advance. Oh, just to have food. Yes, so yeah, mate. We good? I just turn them off. And yeah, worry about that. Do you want to do that to your leisure? So on this lawn here we have Alison Sharp playing Jim Nichols, lawn 2. It's in the final round here at the President's 8's. Alison Sharp playing yellow and red, then a standard opening out to the east boundary, putting her first ball on. Jim Nichols will be playing black and he will be doing a not so standard response. Now Alison, although she is playing red and yellow, and normally you may choose which ball to play at the beginning of each turn, can only play red in this turn because you can only make the choice after both of your balls have been played onto the lawn. So she will go up to this corner. She can only play from particular spots or particular edges of the lawn to play her balls into the game. And she will be trying to line these up so that the black, which is on the right hand side of your screen, and the yellow, which is just off the bottom right hand side of your screen, will be a double target. So if she can hit either of those, all is good. Very good shot normally, Alison Sharp, one of the top 2 or 3 women in the country, and hits that without any trouble whatsoever. Alison's hit in here, and we'll just be setting up, knowing that Jim has to play the blue ball next. She'll set up in such a way that nothing is nearby for him to hit, and if he does miss, she'll have all the balls arranged in such a way that she's got an easy start. That's the hope anyway. Also in the last round of the first eights here, we have Trevor Bassett playing Stephen Richards. They're up on lawn 3. Stephen Richards has hit on the third turn and is doing something very similar to Alison, just setting up almost exactly the same part of the lawn. Over on lawn 4 we have Eric Ayling playing Dwayne McCormick. Eric Ayling, all 4 balls are on the lawn over there. Nobody has yet scored a hoop, and Eric Ayling has possibly taken off the end of the lawn, so that might be end of turn, giving Dwayne McCormick an easy start, but we'll see. No, it looks like he's in by an inch or 2, so he can do a setup as well. And normally at the beginning of a lot of these croquet games, people don't try and score. They just try and manipulate the balls in such a way that it's easy for them when the opponent misses a certain shot that they are forced or at least encouraged to take. On lawn 1 we have the soon-to-be victor of this first eights event. We have Stephen Forster playing Kevin Beard. And Kevin Beard has won the toss and is playing blue and black and has done a standard opening, so black to the just north of hoop 4 on the east boundary. Stephen Forster has replied with a Duffus Tice, so yellow to about 4 feet east of hoop 6 for those croquet proficients among the viewers. Kevin Beard will now be shooting down the east boundary at his partner ball, heading towards corner 4 if he misses. Now back to the game in question. In view, we have Jim Nichols, who's fired blue down the east boundary and missed to corner 4, giving Alison Sharp the start that she wanted. So she has red and yellow. She'll be playing yellow and a rushing red, so hitting red with yellow 5 or 6 yards out into the lawn so that she can put red up at the second hoop, ready to be used a little bit later. And then she will try and hit yellow onto black in such a way that black ends up down near hoop 1, giving herself an easy hoop approach. Score still level at 0 so far in these untimed first eights games here at Canley. The only person that scored is Dwayne McCormick, who's made 1 hoop up on lawn 4 against Eric Ayling, with a receiver ball after 1 and a ball at hoop 2, so he should be away on a good turn there. And Kevin Beard missed third turn against Stephen Forster. Forster has also missed fourth turn, which will leave Kevin Beard a 12-yard shot to get in. And if he misses that, Forster will have something similar. So interesting openings over here. Sharp, as you can see, has over-approached hoop 1 slightly, giving herself a long, or not particularly long, but a rather angled hoop, given there's only about 0.4 of a millimetre tolerance between the width of the ball and the width of the hoop. This is a very difficult shot to get through, especially in firm ground. These hoops are very unforgiving, and the result is as you see. Jim Nichols, though, on the other side, black, won't have an easy shot. There's a hoop between his black and the yellow. Shooting up towards red's probably not going to do him much good either, although it's relatively close target. If he misses, it'll be an easy start for Sharp, so he may well shoot back for his partner ball, which is in corner 4, so the southeastern corner of the lawn. Remembering north is the furthest boundary away from the camera as we look at it. So Jim shoots, and a cracking shot from Jim Nichols. Very accurate player there. So he'll now have a good chance. And Alison Sharp will be tearing her hair out at having given him the opportunity even to take that long shot. On lawn 3, it looks like Stephen Richards has made a hoop, but not proceeded from there. Not sure exactly what happened. It looked like he may have run hoop 1 a bit far and then missed the forward ball at hoop 2. Trevor Bassett now shooting back towards partner on the south boundary, just south of hoop 4. Jim Nichols, though, doing well, it seems, here. Done a nice takeoff, sending black up towards red near hoop 2. And he'll then go from red down to yellow. Remember, black is his striker's ball. It's getting a bit windier out here, so a few people have removed their hats over the long shots. That certainly makes a difference. Jim must make sure he goes past hoop 1 here. If he pulls up short, he has to either go through the hoop or somehow bend around it to hit yellow, which is exactly what's happened. So to hit yellow, he's either got to go through the hoop from about 3 yards out, which is certainly not an easy shot, especially given the opponent ball is sitting there waiting to hit you if you fail, or he has a sliver of yellow to hit on the right-hand side of the hoop as we look at it. And when I say a sliver, it's a very small sliver. And just having a look at yellow there, he obviously decides that if he runs away and goes somewhere else, yellow can definitely make that hoop, which is not particularly what he wants. He'll run away anyway, back to his partner down in the 4th corner, and just make it so that his opponent, Alison Sharp, has to really work for it, even though she's guaranteed at least 1 hoop here. Alison Sharp getting the referee in to make sure she does nothing illegal. Sometimes if you have a ball this close to a hoop, you can hit it twice in the same stroke, which is a fault. Nothing faulty about that shot though. Perfectly clean hit through close to the red up the other end of the lawn, which is exactly where she wanted it. So she should now be able to continue her break by hitting red and making hoop 2. In the background there we have Stephen Richards approaching hoop 1 against Trevor Bassett on lawn 3. He's already made hoop 1 with the other ball, but good chance to get going here with yellow. Well, I was wrong about Alison's movements. I thought she'd definitely approach hoop 2 there and then come and get the opponent balls down this corner, but she's obviously decided that the approach was too risky given where the opponent was, so she's decided to come down and separate the opponent first, but she's pulled up short, potentially in the wind, which is heading against the direction of play, against her shot, and missed into corner 4. Over on lawn 1, Stephen Forster has got a good break going, is through the 3rd hoop. He's playing Kevin Beard, and that should be 9 hoops at least coming up for Stephen. Dwayne McCormick and Eric Ayling are busy on lawn 4. Dwayne looks like he might have been setting up for a sextuple peel, which is not certainly a tactical decision at this point in the tournament, but last game not in contention for a win. You may as well have some fun, try and do something spectacular. Unfortunately didn't go well because he failed hoop 5, leaving Eric Ayling a tap on. So Eric should be able to make a good break out of this. Up on lawn 3 in the back of the screen, you can see Gareth Denyer propping up a shelter whilst talking to Trevor Bassett, who's the out player up there. Bassett yet to score against Richards. He will be somewhere off the back left-hand corner of the screen, playing red and yellow. Richards has only made 1 hoop with red, and is approaching hoop 2 with yellow. However, if he gets this hoop, he has a laid lawn in front of him and should be able to get a good few hoops this turn. Back into business though, we have Jim Nichols doing a good rush to hoop 1, so he's now got 2 shots from wherever red ends up. He'll be able to approach this hoop and get through it in the next 2 strokes, and then have all the balls ahead to use later on. Jim has been putting in a very good performance this tournament. Nothing spectacular, but very solid and consistent. His wins have been keeping the opponent to quite a low score most of the time, which is good. The conditions here are interesting. The lawn's not particularly fast, probably running at about 10 seconds for those of you who speak croquet. So that's the length of time it takes for a ball travelling the length of the lawn, so 35 yards exactly and no more, to stop. So if you hit a ball from one end and you hit it at such a weight that it can just make the distance up the other end of the lawn, it will take about 10 seconds to stop. That's not particularly fast in croquet terms. They might be heading up towards 11 now, given the sun's come out and things are drying out a little bit. Usually makes a difference. But the grass cover is good. The lawns are slightly wavy. It's been the case here at Canley for many years, but it's a good chance for the better players to show that they can do more than play good, accurate shots and think about tactics. They've got to assess the lie of the land as well, very much like golf or putting in golf for that particular aspect of the sport. Jim Nichols here shouldn't have to worry about the lie of the land at all, given that he's got all the balls pretty much where he wants them. Coming up to hoop 2 now. Low scoring game so far, but we've only been going a little while, and if Jim makes this hoop, there's a good chance that he'll have a full 9 on the board in the next few minutes. Jim's quite a quick player, so to make 9 hoops it should take him under 15 minutes probably. That's about as much time as you need to walk around the lawn as far as necessary to make those hoops and hit all the correct shots. Not much thinking and stopping and waiting required. Just good to see. Although it's not a time dependent factor here, the first 8 being untimed games. The second and third 8s are those played on the peripheral lawns, so lawns 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are all time limited at 2.5 hours, just in case there is a particularly tough battle and something goes wrong and people are not playing too well. Time is very rarely reached in top level croquet, but it's good to have it there as a safety net, just so that your event doesn't get held up too long, so that we all know when to have lunch too. Jim here has gone the roundabout way to get black out of the corner and into use. So he'll now hit black. I would have thought a little bit further than that, but it's all right. Up to the north boundary, he'll put that down to hoop 4, which is off the bottom right of the screen, approaching the red with his blue ball. So blue being the striker's ball, he'll try in this next shot to put it to the left of red, and then with his second shot to hit red closer to the third hoop, which is over to the right. Just shortening the shots for the rest of his turn. Great to see spectacular stuff, but consistency-wise, if you can restrict yourself to a lot of short, small, easy shots, then your chances of making a mistake and breaking down are a lot slimmer. Sometimes, though, it is a case where 1 or 2 difficult shots can be a better strategy than 20 easy ones. Depends on your skill set. Robert Fletcher, who was sitting here earlier talking to me, would probably disagree, but he's world champion, he's allowed to. A world number 1, I should say. The croquet has a very interesting, sport of croquet has a very interesting scoring and ranking system. The ranking system is unlike something like tennis, where you get a certain amount of points depending on how deep you get into a tournament, and the more major a tournament, the more points you get. In croquet, your ranking points are dependent on how you go, whether you win or lose against better players. So, for example, if you beat somebody who's the same standard as you, you might get 10 ranking points. If you beat somebody who is considered significantly better than you, you might get 30 ranking points. If you beat somebody who's just a beginner, you might get 1 ranking point. And the scale of losses are the same. If you lose to somebody who is considered not very good, you might lose 30 points. Or if you lose to somebody who's expected to beat you every time, you might only lose 1 point. So that's how the world ranking system works effectively. There are a few more complicated mathematical formulas to do with how well you're going in a season and whether you're on a winning streak or a losing streak, but that's the basics. Now that's different to a World Championship event, the World Championship only being run every 2 years. The world champion, in effect, can be the winner of that event, may not be the world number 1 at the time. It's again similar to tennis, except you've only got 1 Grand Slam World Championship every 2 years. But Jim, I think, is about the 8th or 9th ranked player in Australia. Jim on your screen here. And he's now got himself into a difficult situation. He's made 3 hoops, but is still approaching the fourth. Now he has to get blue in front of the fourth hoop in this next shot if he wants to continue, and then go through with the next shot but one. Blue crucially stopping just out of picture. Yellow's gone a long way away, which is a good safety net just in case something went wrong. Blue has stopped pretty much a yard straight in front of the fourth hoop, so should be an easy continuation here for Jim. A lot of different styles used to hold the mallet and play a stroke here. Jim crouches down a lot more than most players. Most you'll see are very upright in their grip. Most swing the mallet between the legs. There are a few side style players around, but really only very few. There's nothing to restrict you from playing it like a golf swing sideways, but generally 99% of the players you see will play between the legs purely for lining up and accuracy purposes, being able to see the swing of the mallet and being able to keep your eye on it in a straight line the whole time. Jim Nichols here now approaching hoop 5, has to cut red in slightly towards the hoop if he wants to make it easy, and he hits on the completely the wrong side and ends up behind the hoop. So he now has to bring blue around the front, so on the near side, the camera side of the hoop with his first stroke, and then go through with a second. Of course, the further out, the greater the distance he leaves between the hoop and the ball coming past it, the greater the angle of the next shot through the hoop. Now the lawn here slopes down and to the left as we look at it. So to the west. So even if he only just misses the hoop on the left-hand side, the blue ball will probably curve down towards the bottom left of the screen, giving a slightly angled hoop, but we'll see. More than slightly angled. Still runnable though. Normally you can get these balls through a hoop at up to about 45 degrees, occasionally a little bit more. But if they're firm in the ground and they're set tightly, as these are for being a major championship event, I wouldn't be betting on anybody making that hoop with consistency in a situation like this. So Jim Nichols must decide whether or not to have an attempt at the hoop. If he doesn't attempt it, he's used all the other balls. He's hit them all once between this hoop and the last one, so he can't hit them again or accumulate any more shots. So he will be running away somewhere in the hope that he can get back in later on. So he puts his clip on the top of the hoop to denote that that is the hoop that blue is up to, and runs away off the middle of the east boundary. Now he's gone over there because Alison Sharp, the shortest shot she has on the lawn, remember she is yellow and red, would be to play the yellow ball at black. And if she does that and misses, she would end up near blue, which is now over on the eastern side of the lawn. So that he's put that there to cover that shot, to hope that she doesn't take the shortest shot available. So she's going to take the second shortest shot available, which is red at black. If she misses this one, she will be quite well separated, and then Nichols on his next shot can join up with black and blue. But we don't have to worry about that. So Sharp on 1 and 2, so she's only made one hoop. Nichols on 1 and 5, so he has made 4 hoops. And a bit of interaction here early on in the last round of the President's Eights. Alison Sharp here just made hoop 2, only just managed to sneak through with red, so she has a difficult shot if she wants to hit black. She must not hit her striker's ball with the edge or corner of the mallet. She must hit it with the flat surface of the face, the end of the mallet. And if she hits it with a corner or edge or fails to hit it, then that's the end of the turn. So she has the referee out to watch to make sure that she hits it cleanly, and also to make sure that the ball that she's aiming at gets hit. Sometimes in a very gentle shot like this, you can be so focused on hitting the striker's ball cleanly that you can forget to pay any attention to whether the striker hits the target ball, may only just brush past it. So probably not an easy shot here, but certainly possible for a player of Alison Sharp's capabilities. Easy. So it looked anyway. Alison Sharp's now made 2 hoops. And has a good chance to continue. So she's sending red across to yellow, which is sitting near the 3rd hoop, ready to hit and accumulate some more shots, and black down to the 4th hoop, so she has something to hit when she gets down there. It's very much about patterns, croquet. It's like nearly any other sport or activity. Once you learn a few principles and get used to the structure of the thing, then it follows very logically. Watch it for half an hour, it'll be like driving a car. You'll never forget how. One would hope. Now, because she ran that hoop and hit the ball on the other side at the same time, she is required to pick up red and place it next to yellow straight away. So she doesn't have to take an extra shot to hit yellow now that she's come through the hoop. So she'll leave yellow in the middle of the lawn, going out to blue, which is by the eastern boundary. And she'll be able to collect blue and bring it into play. Basically the main tactic in a situation like this is to bring all 4 balls into the central quadrant of the lawn. So if you drew a line between the 4 outside hoops, so hoops 1, 2, 3 and 4, if you can keep all the balls within that square, then your shots are going to be shorter and you're going to have more balls to play with, more options, less chance of doing something where you can't continue. Alison knows this very well and should be able to make 9 hoops, which is the first objective for just about any top player at this level. Make 9 hoops and stop. Doesn't want to make more than 9 because that effectively gives the opposition a free hit. Doesn't want to make much less than 9 because it means she just has more hoops to make later on. So a very good player can finish the game in 2 turns. They can make 9 hoops with their first ball and set up in such a way that the opposition can't hit anything, or if they can hit anything they are very unlikely to do so. And then with their second ball to go around and make the 12 hoops, knock their partner ball through 3 hoops on the way. They can't strike it with their mallet, but they can hit their partner ball with another ball in such a way that it goes through required hoops and then hit the peg in the middle of the lawn to win 26-0, ideally. It's not going to happen here because the opponent, Jim Nichols, has already made 4. And remember, this is the hoop that he came unstuck at. He got caught out by a hill which slopes from right to left on the screen as he approached it. So we'll see how Alison Sharp does here. So although it's only about a 4-foot approach to the hoop, the lawn does roll down left, as you can see that red did there. Which gives a more angled hoop, but she's dealt with it without any trouble whatsoever and may continue merrily on her way. Very merry person, Alison Sharp, so that's quite appropriate. Over on other lawns, down on lawn 1 we have Stephen Forster playing Kevin Beard. Stephen Forster has a grand total of 9 hoops and seems to have done something wrong because Kevin Beard has only made 1 hoop but is now in. Kevin has about a 7-yard shot on 2 balls near the east boundary to continue play, which he hits. It's not an easy start for Beard, but he has a reasonable chance of equalising the game. Up on lawn 4 we have Dwayne McCormick, the current captain of the South Australian Croquet team and number 7 in Australia, playing Eric Ayling from Western Australia, one of WA's top players. Eric Ayling has made 3 hoops, not having a great tournament, but has certainly put in some good play, beating Kevin Beard this morning in the last round. And McCormick is now coming up to hoop 8 on his first break around, so he's leading 8-3 and should have 9 hoops and a leave. So a leave being a situation where you deliberately finish your turn, but you do it in such a way that your opponent has great difficulty in hitting anything, and you have an easy start for when they miss. Alison Sharp here has just snuck through another hoop and didn't want to take a hampered swing at the yellow ball, so has gone for blue instead. So she'll now come back to yellow, leaving blue either where it is or slightly closer to the centre of the lawn. Always good to have the balls in lawn for later. And then she will come back to that black ball, centre of your screen, to use it to make the 7th hoop.